is the time for our co-working session where we come together and have a little chat about business, brands, and boundaries. Okay, we done came up with a name, y'all. We official. We are doing the
Yeah.
things. Okay, and so with that being said, today I want to talk about the balance, and I hate that I didn't write this down when you and I spoke about it because I had some good words, like an alliteration, but the balance between the corporate side of entrepreneurship and the creative side of entrepreneurship. And maybe those were the two C's that I used, but how do we determine which one comes first, meaning we got to make money, right? At the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, as empathic people, as intuitive people, as creatives, as spiritual, grounded, faith based people, right? We still have to operate in this capitalistic society, right? Where things cost money. Resources, if not money, right, are required in exchange for things. And so how do we find, or and maybe we don't have the answer, right, we just have a conversation about it, but finding the balance between I'm feeding my soul and I'm literally feeding myself, right? I'm literally keeping the lights on, and yet I'm still keeping up my morals and my values. So, talk to me a little bit about some initial thoughts that you have. I know this is something you feel strongly about as well. So, let's get into it.
Yeah, feel strongly, but also do not have the answer at all. It is something that I'm constantly going back and forth about because I'm not monetarily driven.
Yeah.
Like, while I understand that I need to have income to be able to meet my needs, I'm not the kind of person like when you're like, you can make $10,000 a week. Like, I don't respond to that. It means nothing to me. And I very much am driven by impact and making sure that the work I am doing is making an impact. So it's something I be struggling with all the time
Yeah.
because I need to do it feels like I don't like to feel like I'm checking boxes. Like I don't yeah, I don't like to feel like, okay, I did this because I have to do this. Like, I don't like to do things with that type of intention. And that's what it feels like for me when I'm having to do certain things and show up in a particular way in order to feed the machine. So I don't know that I don't have an answer. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's a constant struggle for me.
Yeah, no, I get that 1,000%. I am motivated by freedom. Okay, so what that means is if to be free I need the money, okay, but to get the money, am I free? If that makes sense. So, perfect example, I was making
Mm-hmm.
really good money at Enterprise, right? I did have a level of freedom, access, opportunity I could go and do and be and get and da 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 da. And I often think about that life and miss it in parts. But and the very next thought is, but bitch, your time, your day, your weeks, your life was locked up, wrapped around and into Enterprise. You did
Right.
not have any independence. You did not have any decision making ability. And so, therefore, there was no freedom. And so, the choice then becomes really easy, right? Freedom always, for me, I think, takes the priority. And and very and I think yeah, I mean very closely to that is a monetary motivation, but I do think freedom is a such a wide net of things that can fall into that, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
that save me from becoming money hungry. And like, freedom also means being able to sleep at night, right? Freedom for me also
Mm-hmm.
means being a
Mm-hmm.
good person and kind. Like, sure, the job, I may only have to do it once a week, but I have to pick somebody I gotta kill every day, right? Like, Sure, and I get paid $1 million every time I cross somebody's name off the list. Okay, I got the money, I got my time, I got freedom, I got access, all that, but I'm not being a good person because I have to kill these innocent people, right? That is also not freedom
Right.
for me. So freedom in as many arenas as possible for me is a big motivator, and often where like my scale comes into play, if you will.
I like that you framed it as freedom being the motivator. So Bianca, my best friend, she travels around the world and asks people like what freedom and fulfillment looks like for them. And I think when we can answer that question, it'll better help us to be able to make those decisions. So I want to revisit that. I want to revisit that in a moment, but I want to grab this comment right quick. Jasmine said, I'm IT corporate, so I get to be innovative, but I actually love my corporate job because it pays the health insurance for my kids, right? So the trade-off of what we're getting out of that, I think is really important. And so I want to think and contextualize what freedom means for me. So, one, freedom means that I do not have to operate between 9 to 5. That is not my ideal working hours. That's not when my brain people are aware and present in my brain. So, freedom for me means flexibility and the ability to be able to honor the human components of myself and without sacrificing the things that help me to remain grounded. Freedom also looks like not having to worry each month about how things are going to get taken care of. So, whether that
Right.
is health insurance or food or rent, like being able to have the ability to know that this part is taken care of and now I get to do what I want to do. I'm also big, don't tell me what to do energy. I don't like to be
Yeah.
told what to do. I really want to be able to have the freedom to follow where my spirit is guiding me and what that
Don't
looks
tell
like
me
and
what to
sounds
do.
like. So yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very fair point. But see, I think so. Jazz mentioned insurance, right? That is a very big trade off, and actually something just telling my business like I always do that I often think and worry and fight up again. Like I still don't know the right answer because I am a woman in my 30s who wants to have children, and that's gonna require some insurance or some hefty checks deposited in my bank account. And through God, all things are possible, right? I'm not counting out anything,
Yeah.
but tradition, systems, society tells me I need to get health insurance through traditional means, which is getting a job, right? And so, like, am I being irresponsible by not positioning myself in that way, right? Or am I being irresponsible by not doing what's in my heart? Like, I don't know. I don't know,
And see,
right?
I
So it's
lean
just one of those
towards the
things,
latter.
huh?
I feel like I lean towards the latter of it feels irresponsible to not follow the desires of my heart and to not follow what God is telling me to do. And so I feel like I position myself behind what God said. Like if God is
Correct.
like, for instance, right now, my mission, if you will, is to say the things. To say the things, to talk about the things, confront the things that are difficult for people to talk about for whatever reasons, but we about to say the things and call the things the things. And so because I know that's my instructions, then I'm able to be like, if you mad, you need to take that up with God. That ain't got nothing to do
Correct.
with me. You need to
Correct.
go holler at God about that. So if I'm not doing that, if I am forsaking the clear instructions that I've gotten, what God told me to do, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I gotta have health insurance, I gotta, have this much money in the bank, or I gotta have these many streams of income, or I gotta have like this particular thing, it feels misaligned for me. So I
Yes.
kind of lean towards this is what God told me to do. And God, if you told me to do this, then it is your job to figure out how the rest of this stuff is about to happen.
Yes.
And I cannot concern
Yeah.
myself with that. Okay, that's above
Yeah.
my pay grade.
Yes.
That's out here what you supposed to be doing. So you do
Right.
that. I'm gonna do what you told me to do. And
Right.
you take care of the rest. And then you just get me on the hotline about what needs to happen. Like that feels more aligned for me.
That is an extremely mature standpoint, and I think it's right. I agree with it, right? But I do think it takes some maturity in Christ to be able to even get to that point, because that decision to stand behind God, like you're saying, I think is a long term thing, if you will. Like in the long run, you will feel a million times better about that. In the short term, what I'm looking at right now in front of me in this very moment, right, is my birthday about to come up again, right? Is my bank account looking like what it's looking like. Every time I open my email, somebody asking me for something that I don't have, right? That's what I'm seeing now. And so the right now thing is for me to do something about it, right? For me to think I have control over this thing called life. And so I'm going to take life by the horns and I'm going to fix it. Therefore, I'm going to get me a job and then I'm going to have the insurance that I need and everything's going to go well, because that's what I'm doing to fix the problem. But what you're saying, really requires a level of maturity and patience and peace and all the things to be able to say, like you said, okay, I'm doing what you told me to do now. You know the desires of my heart, and you said you would give them to me as long as they are according to the kingdom. I just want a little baby, I just want to make a disciple, Lord. Okay, I just want to use this womb for what you have created for me to do. So therefore, I'm gonna need you to make that happen for me. Okay, thank you. So that's not what we started this conversation talking about, but
I want to add on to that though,
Yeah.
because maybe it's going where it needs to go with purpose, because I also don't want to make it sound like it's easy. It is definitely a faith walk, and it is definitely a very child. It's a big undertaking, right? To be able to say, I'm trusting what God has told me. It's not and it takes a lot of practice to be able. So what has happened to me is I have seen times where I did not listen. Mm-hmm. I did not follow those instructions, and then the block got hot. Okay, because it's our story is already written, right? And it's already predetermined that we are going to win. That's what the word says, right? That's what God says. So I have to condition myself to remember that, believe that, and then suspend the rest of it. Like surrender is really the word, right? The comment here says, I agree, whatever God puts on your heart, you have to trust the process and see it through. We have to know that, and I'm saying this like it's easy, it ain't, okay? But we have to know at the end of the day that God is not a liar. So if God is not a liar, that means that you have to do what you said that you were going to do. And so if my role in this is to follow these particular instructions, that means that you're going to have to do the rest. Because if you don't, guess what? You're a liar and you're not a liar. So, I'm big team. Listen, me and God be going back and forth. Okay. I don't know how y'all talk to God, but let me tell you something. We be in here. Okay. Like, listen now. God, Mr. God, Sir, Sky Daddy, Universe, he, she, they, listen, however you identify, get it together, because I don't want to keep doing this, and I'm following these directions, and you got me out here looking crazy, okay? So I need you to get it together. Like, that's how I be having to get with God, because...
And I think that's fair. I think that's what he wants. Hi, Travis. He said it's a walk, and our help coming from the Lord. So I'm going to just be obedient. Amen. And I'm glad that we have come to this again, this point in our life, this mindset, right, around it, because I think when it comes down to creativity over corporate and a check and a coin, I think the best thing that we do have is the Holy Spirit to be able to tell us, girl, go get that bag, right? Go let them people write you that money. This thing that they're trying to pay you for may not be the most deepest, impactfulest, thing. But let them people pay you, right? Go ahead, get this check real quick. Or yeah, you're gonna have to really lean into your creativity to make this project happen. You're gonna have to pull out all the stops, all the research, all the things to get this project off the ground, and probably nobody's gonna believe in it until 20 years later when they playing it in the club. This is a crazy example. I'm not gonna use that example, but anyway, no, I'm gonna use the example because whatever. Juicy J talking about he wrote "Slob on My Knob" in 11th grade. Hated the
Now that was my jam. Now back in my college days, I ain't gonna eat much on you. I ain't gonna eat much on you.
He hated the song. He played it one time, and now it's worth hella. So it's like, as a creative, right? I hate the song, so I'm not gonna take this bag for the past 20-30 years, or what? So we can't give you the answers for that in your personal life, right? But you just never know when you have to make that decision. And again, I'm glad we know who we can ask to help us to be responsible as often as possible, right? In deciding to lean into our creativity more, or our coins more, or really the best thing is welcoming the most opportunities where those two worlds can safely overlap. So
yeah,
that is the vibe and the energy I'm sending out for everybody, is that we have an abundance of opportunities where our creativity and our monetary needs can be met equally and with grace. Is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Yeah, I was just going to say that purpose lives at that intersection. Purpose lives at the intersection of, these are the creative endeavors, these are the things that bring me life, and this is also how I'm able to earn an income. Purpose lives there, and that is the work that I personally do with people in my life coaching practice and in Discover Your Destiny, is helping people to understand that these are my callings and this is my purpose. So I'm going to go ahead on and invite y'all to come hang out with me on Saturday, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on The Frolicking Truth, of what our gifts are and how do we honor those creative parts of ourselves so that we can position ourselves to be able to have the resources that we need to make even more impact.
Yes, sir. Perfect. All right, y'all. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, this session. We done create a whole little show down to the co-working of business, brands, business, and boundaries. All right. So we will see y'all next week, Thursday, 12 o'clock, right here on the TikTok Live. Bring your projects, bring your things, bring your conversations. We would love to be in your business. So we will see y'all then. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.